And once again, I have disconnected because this game is just great. It's not the first time this has happened, and it definitely will not be the last. But nonetheless, we'll be getting into Tier 3 in just a few moments' time. I just have to load back into the lobby, but we'll be underway pretty shortly. Alright, we'll just load in, so be sure to just stay tuned, because we're just about there. Alright, here we go. It took a little bit, but we are here once again, and we've already got a retiree in this session. But, nonetheless, we're here once again for Round 5 of Breakout Racing League's Tier 3 Championship, and we've arrived at a very, very interesting circuit and a very challenging circuit. That's right, it's the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at the Baku Street Circuit. Personally, one of my favorite tracks ever on this game. Now, looking at the track, you've got 20 corners that make up this very technical, I guess? Yeah, technical track. And two DRS zones. Sorry, I almost said 3. No, there's only 2. One down the main straight and one going into turn 3, exiting out of turn 2. We have a yellow flag for the back, but I think that might be just for an Aston Martin getting out of the way. And indeed, he has. But Baku is notorious for its well, not lack of it's known for its huge amount of action. I'm stammering here, my apologies. But this track always provides something. If you want to know what that something is, well, I think everyone can remember over at turn 1 here, if you guys have watched 2021 season of F1, where Hamilton went straight on into turn 1, trying to pass Perez on the red flag restart, and that allowed Perez to take his first win for Red Bull. We've also had a moment at turn 1 as well, where Verstappen and Ricciardo got into wars with each other, and they both went off back in 2018, and that caused a safety car in and of itself. But that's not the only place where we could have a ton of action. Let's not forget turn 2 and turn 3, where turn 2 was Kimi Räikkönen and Valtteri Bottas back in 2017, picked up a huge load of damage. Bottas got a puncture at the beginning of that race, and he went on to finish second from a lap down and dead last. And Kimi, I believe, just had to retire due to the amount of damage that he had. Turn 3, also an interesting story, where, interestingly, Kimi Räikkönen once again involved into an incident, but this time with Esteban Ocon into turn 3, where he basically took the car out, coming out of turn 3, and Ocon was out of the race. Räikkönen with a ton of damage, by the way. I did see that Red Bull. Doesn't look like that was for Steg. It looked like it is for the coach, who was on an outlap, so that's not what he would have wanted. Yeah, Baku can definitely provide something, and, well, let's see what they can provide here tonight. Let's go over to the championship real quick over here, and we have Gary, who's currently in the pits. By the way, nice pole. Well, pole position. Goes to Iceman right now with the 142. We'll make that loud balloon now with the 141.1. I was looking at the pole at the pit lane, because, you know, it's a great camera, I must say. It is a very, very nice camera. But nonetheless, let's go over to the championship. We have Gary in the Mercedes, currently the championship leader by a very comfortable 33 points. He's the only man to finish on the podium in every single race, taking 2 wins and 2 second places. And, well, he pretty much looks like the man to beat this season. Can he go for a third win and a fifth successive podium? Well, time can only tell. Underdog sits second, in which he has 53 points. Again, 33 points away from Gary, so he's going to want a bit of an upset from the Mercedes if he wants any chance of clawing that back. And not too far behind is the... I think he's in the McLaren now. I'm not entirely sure. But it is Yordster in third place. Unfortunately, he's not able to show here tonight, but he will be able to show up next week, so be sure to tune into Canada. But right now, we're here at Baku, as I mentioned. It's Redeemer in fourth in the Alfa Romeo. Obviously, he had that win in Azerbaijan, and he's been there ever since. But he's currently tied on points with the other Mercedes of Echo. Echo grabbing his first podium of the season back in Imola. We'll see if he could possibly go again. He is flying by his teammate right now. And you have Gert in sixth, Nava in seventh, Stig in P8, Butters P9, Shredder rounding out the top 10. And so far, we have a total of 14 drivers that have currently scored a point this season, with the most recent point scorers, no, just one, being Quick-Tongue, who managed to grab a P8 in Imola. So we'll see if he can potentially go again and grab some more points. And, well, knowing Baku, it's definitely not out of the question. And, yep, you're absolutely right on that. Gary is getting a tow, Yordster. Thank you for noticing that. Nice to see you in the chat, by the way. It's unfortunate that you are unable to join us, but you can still be here in the chat. I mean, I don't mind that. It's always nice to have someone here. Your host is Minico, by the way. I forgot to mention that once again. I'm seriously lacking here. I'm once again alone this time around, as I did have a co-commentator lined up for tonight, but he kind of bailed last second, and, well, now we're here. So once again, I am alone, but so I'll try my best once again to keep up with all the action, but obviously with everything going on, it might be a bit difficult. Gary, by the way, with a purple sector 1 so far. So once again, the Mercedes is absolutely flying. We'll go on board with the Mercedes as we go on through this. Speaking of Gary, by the way, last season here in Tier 3, it was actually this same man, Gary, who took pole position here in Azerbaijan back in Season 8, and he grabbed it by 7 milliseconds. Very, very tight. He's going to want to try and go for it again, but maybe with a little bit more of a time gap between him and second place. We'll just have to find out, and conveniently, he actually won the race. Sorry for the audio glitch, by the way. I unfortunately do not have a Series X or whatever, so you're going to have to kind of live with it, at least when I'm on board. When I'm off board, that will not be the case. Yeah, Gary took pole and the win here last season. We'll see if he could potentially do it again. Obviously, the Mercedes being an absolute flyer in this season, and has pretty much been on a dominant run, a la Lewis Hamilton usually would. Gary, by the way, he goes up into second place with a 141.0, just missing out on pole position. Right now, currently held by Stig in the Red Bull. Gap between them, just 4 hundredths in between. It's already very close at the top. We'll see if Gary could possibly try and beat that again, or if Stig could potentially extend his advantage towards the top. We'll just have to find out when this qualifying just straight up resumes. But yeah, we will definitely have to see how this race will go from here on in, and qualifying from here on in. Other stats from last season of Tier 3. Obviously, with Gary taking that win, it was his teammate who took second place, so it wasn't Mercedes 1-2. Obviously, Echo's going to want to try and replicate that after getting a Mercedes double podium last week in Imola. So, Echo definitely going to want to try and replicate that and possibly go one better. We'll just have to find out. And surprisingly, the third place spot was not grabbed by someone inside the top 6. No. It was actually grabbed by someone all the way down from 14th on the grid. Further proving that track position, not really that important. And not to mention that this track can definitely throw a surprise or two. What we have in store for us here, I simply do not know. This is never scripted. Why would I script any of my stuff? I'll just leave it at that. I will just simply leave it at that. By the way, I just want to quickly mention, going back over to the standings, the top 3 in the championship They are the only drivers to have gotten a repeat podium. Obviously, Gary's been on the podium every single race. Underdog has taken 2 podiums. Same with Yordster. The rest, though, have only taken 1 podium. We've had 7 different podium sitters this season. Could we possibly get an 8th? Can we get a 9th? Can we get a 10th? It's definitely not out of the question. We'll just have to see how this qualifying and how this race is going to go. 26 laps here for Baku, and 26 laps of potentially all-out chaos. Just look over at the chat once again. I'll try and be as attentive as I possibly can. And BMWE, good evening to you as well. And once again, welcome to Breakout Racing League's Tier 3 Championship. And, well, we're here for a good time, as per usual. I mean, if you weren't here for a good time, why are you here? I'm kidding. Going over with Iceman, by the way, I just want to, just gonna go with the Ferrari here. La Balloon now sets the fastest lap of the 140.9, just barely beating out Steg here for pole position. Where can Iceman go, though? In the Ferrari, he goes up to P5. So very decent qualifying from the Ferrari once again. I want to quickly mention for Iceman, of course, he's not entirely had the best of seasons this time around. Obviously, he has been there. He has been thereabout. But for, especially in qualifying, in the race, it just simply has not translated. And, well, he has yet to get any points this season. But he's shown that he can definitely be up there. So, we'll see if the Ferrari can potentially capitalize on any mistakes here tonight. As we have 15 drivers currently lined up for this race. As Butters has retired from the session. That is a crash at the castle section. Oh. Yeah, that's going to ruin any qualifying laps that were potentially taking place. So that is not going to help the McLaren. Right now he's currently in P7 for qualifying. We'll see if he potentially gets beaten out by that. And a couple drivers are on a lap. Who's that just improved? That was one Underdog. He went up to P4 with a 141.1, just directly behind his teammate. Echo goes on to provisional pole now. So Echo now on pole with a 140.6. That Mercedes looking pretty quick here tonight. Can he retain that pole position throughout? In which, if he does, it will be his first pole position of the season. But there's still 5 minutes left of qualifying to go, and if he could potentially get another lap in, I believe he can. I think he can get another lap in. He might be a bit tight, though, on timing. But I genuinely think he might be okay. Going over to Quick Tongue, he is unfortunately invalidated, so he's not going to be able to do anything with his lap time. Right now, just everyone, good amount of people in the pits right now. A couple of people on their out laps, so right now not many laps going on out here for the time being. Obviously, we're just in the last legs of qualifying, but we'll just have to wait for those last lap dashes to come in. You're gonna have to use some sick time for the race nights. That's painful. I mean, you're committed, which is fair enough, but yeah, that is pretty painful. As Arabian Killer has joined us, so he is back. And he will be in that Alpine once again. And once again, beautiful view of the pole. You really like this pole. You gotta love it. It's the best camera angle in existence. I'm joking. Who would like this camera angle? There's a yellow flag over in Sector 3. And it looks like what's happened? Oh, it looks like it's just Underdog just trundling back to the pits as he has unfortunately ran out of fuel, but he'll still make it to the pits no matter what, as Whiffy is currently behind him. I think Whiffy might have had a moment, as I don't think he has a front wing. And to check back on that. Going over, though, we're going to go over to Steg here, who is currently on a lap. Coach is retired for the session. That is a crash at the, pit lane. Loud Balloon is retired. He's also crashed as well. He's crashed at turn 2. So that could potentially be a bit of cold tires at play there. And that has absolutely ruined his chances of going for pole position. Not what the Haas would have wanted. Obviously, he's lined up on the front row. But now front row, that is really going to be the best he's going to want to hope for. Because He doesn't want anybody else to improve. But the thing is, Stig behind him, he has a very close lap time to him, and a bunch of other people can improve. So far, we've had 12 drivers that have set a lap time. Obviously, to coach Gert and the Unknown retiring early or just crashing out, which have affected that. So the worst someone could potentially start is P11. P11, really. So, I mean, it's not all bad, but as I've mentioned before, you can still gain a lot in the chaos that is this race. But yeah, we'll just have to find out. Days Freak has now joined us, so that's 16 drivers now. Let's go. 16 drivers. As everyone is now slowly starting to come out of the pits. Might be a bit close for a couple of drivers, though. Stig is leaving the pits. Same with Shredder. Is Shredder? Yeah, he is. It might be a bit close with timing, especially Stig, because he's just leaving the pits. I don't think Shredder has enough time to make it. We'll just have to see. But Gary's going to be the first one to set a lap time, so we're going to stay with the Mercedes here as he blasts down that main straight. Then it's going to be heavy braking into turn 1, getting really on that curb and making sure not to hit that outside one, which he does not hit. And now going through into turn 2, once again, another 90-degree corner, which is pretty much what this track is compromised of. That's the first DRS zone, technically, of the lap, blasting down the straight. This is one of the overtaking opportunities that we have here for this race. We'll see if he can negotiate it quite nicely, and he does. Nearly hits the wall there. So he's leaving no time in this lap. Once again, going through the turn 4, another 90-degree. Sector 1, what's it saying? He's just over a 10th up is the Mercedes. We'll see as he negotiates the chicane, and now it's going to be very, very tricky here, as it's going to be heavy braking into here. You have to really slow down the car. Then you have to pick up the speed, and then it's the castle section. Do you want to take the risk or not? He's taking the risk, and it seems to have paid off here, does the Mercedes, as he negotiates that very nicely. And, well, now it's just a simple 2 left kinks, as he's going to now spot the braking zone. Hard on the brakes, make sure not to hit the wall on the outside, and he actually makes a very good job of that corner. And how much is he up? 5/10. 5/10, so he is improving by quite a bit. Is it going to be enough, though, to dislodge his teammate from pole position? Qualifying is now done. Stig did make the flag. Arabian Killerak and Shredder, unfortunately, did not. So Shredder, not able to improve. He will start at least P7, but Gary is now going to come across the line. Can he dislodge his teammate from pole position? Yes, he does, by quite a margin. It's a 140.1 for the Mercedes. But further behind, as my thing is unfortunately broken, it's going to be Iceman Pitts. So he's not going to be able to improve on his lap time. What about of Redeemer in the Alfa Romeo? Is he on a lap? Yes, indeed he is. Blasting down the straight, pinching to the left-hand side. Is it going to be enough to dislodge Gary? No, it's not. He only improves one position, goes up to P9. Next up, though, is going to be Whiffy. He is currently down on his time, but what is he saying through the second sector? Ooh, big improvement there from the Aston Martin. He's up 5/10. Can he gain any more out of this final sector as he's blasted down the main straight? That very, very nice looking Aston Martin. I just want to quickly mention, I really love the look of that car. But anyways, blasting down the main straight. Where can he put that Aston Martin? P6. So a very good lap there from Whiffy. But what about of Echo? Can he dislodge his teammate from pole position? Yes, he does! Echo, currently on provisional pole, but Underdog, he's gonna get towed from Quick Tongue here, and this might help Underdog here. Can he beat the 2 Mercedes? No, he doesn't, just misses out. Underdog will line up in 3rd, stay across the line, he goes up to 4th. It's a Mercedes 1-2 in qualifying, but it's not Gary on pole. It is Echo on pole for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's his first pole position this season, and look at that gap. Remember what I mentioned before, last season, Gary got pole position by 7 milliseconds. We just missed out on pole by 5. Very, very close between the 2 Mercedes, but it's Echo on pole from Gary, and it's Underdog in P3 ahead of Stig. Loud Balloon will line up in 5th, so it's a top 5 start for the Haas. Then it's Whiffy in 6th, ahead of Iceman, Shredder in P8, Butters P9, Redeemer rounding out the top 10, Quick Tongue and Raymond Killerack unfortunately not able to find the time to start in the top 10. To Coach, Gert, Days Freak, and the Unknown not able to set a lap in qualifying. A very interesting qualifying nonetheless, a couple crashes here and there, but what a gap it is between those two. 5 milliseconds. Wow. I'm pretty sure that's the closest gap I've ever seen for a pole position. Speaking of pole, hello. It's a very nice, very green pole. But yeah. We'll just leave it at that. Usually you'd be seen down the pit lane, but unfortunately we have this in the way. This is not here last game. I just want to quickly mention this is not here last game. But it was just introduced. And yeah, it kind of obstructed here. As we're just waiting on our drivers to finalize their strategies, finalize their setups, and make sure everyone is good to go for this qualifying. We've got 26 laps of racing here tonight, and we'll see how many of those laps are safety cars, because this track is very notorious of safety cars. I think everyone from experience would know that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, every single year in Formula 1 in real life has had a safety car here in Baku. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not sure if there's... The only one I'm unsure of for that is 2016? I think there was one in 2019. I know there was one in 17, 18, and 21. But I'm not sure about 16. So, if anyone knows of that, please do let me know. Let's look over at the race director for a bit, get a little bit of a cheeky insight. Never mind, because I pressed the wrong button. There we go. Oh, everyone's on the mediums. It's all a bunch of yellow right now. Might be a while for everyone to finalize their setups. Well, I take that back. I should just say that more often, because then people are now starting to ready up. So we're just about to get underway for the formation lap here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Who knows what could be in store? Remember, Echo on pole position. He grabbed it by just 5 milliseconds over the championship leader of Gary. So Mercedes looking very, very strong here in Baku. We'll see if they can potentially translate it, though, as we are now underway for the formation lap. Echo will lead us away. And interestingly, wow, okay. So, both Mercedes, as close as they are, not only are they close on track, but they're close in terms of their strategy, as they are the only two to start on the hard compound of tire. Everyone else behind will start on the medium compound of tire. So they're going to have a lot of pressure from behind, especially from one Underdog, because Underdog, obviously, he is trailing behind Gary quite a bit in the championship, so he's going to want to try everything he can to gain on that Mercedes, and considering he's right in front of him, he's going to want to get the jump off the start and potentially take the lead by the time they end the first lap. We'll just have to see what the AlphaTauri can do, and as well as everyone else. Obviously, Steg is going to want to try and get his first podium this season. He's had 2 P4s in the span of the first 3 races, so he's going to want to try and one-up that, get a podium or a win. We'll have to see. Loud Balloon, he's currently in 5th. He's going to want to try and go for the podium, no doubt about it. Same as Whiffy, currently in P6. Iceman, he's going to want to grab his first points of the season. Shredder, he's had a bit of a fall-off after his podium in Bahrain, so he's going to want to try and bounce back, see if he can grab a good points haul. Butters, he's going to want to keep up the consistency that he's had this season, as I believe. Actually, no, well, He's going to want to try and grab more points, possibly jump himself up the order in terms of the championship. Redeemer, he's going to want to try and get another podium. Obviously, he won back in Saudi Arabia. Can he do it here tonight? We'll just have to find out. Quick Tongue, he's going to want to try and replicate what he did last week and grab some more points, plus potentially grab his best result of the season. Same with Arabian Killerak and the coach. Gert, he's going to want to translate after what he's had, after he's had a pretty strong, yet quiet, like a pretty solid results for Alfa Romeo. Days Freak, we'll see what he can do from P15. Same with the Unknown, both Williams at the back of the grid. But most likely, they will not be at the back by the time this race ends. We'll just have to find out. 26 laps of all-out chaos. I think I can safely say it's chaos, as Echo and Gary lining up onto the front row. Underdog lines up third ahead of Stig Laubloon, rounding out the top 5 as we now wait for the Unknown to line up in his grid slot, as we already have 3 disqualifications. Lovely. Make that 4. 5 red lights are on for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go. We've already got a jump start. That is from one Underdog, and that is not the start he would have wanted. Gary gets a brilliant start from second on the grid. He's already moved his way up into first place from Echo, from Underdog, from Stig, from Shredder. So already the top 5 shuffling up a little bit, but the 2 Mercedes already managing to hold on to the lead. Echo, though, he's going to want to try and challenge his teammate into turn 3. He is in the slipstream. Can he potentially have a look into turn 3? Thinks better of it. So the 2 Mercedes retain the position for one Underdog. Then he hits the wall. Does the AlphaTauri. That's definitely going to give a bit of encouragement there for Stig, as Stig is pretty much stayed position. Whiffy getting a great start. Shredder has fallen all the way down. Same with Loud Balloon, as Loud Balloon is actually all the way off the track. So something's happened to the Haas. He's all the way down to P16. Meanwhile, further behind, Days Freak making up a couple places as he's moved himself up into P12, and the Unknown up into P11. Meanwhile, further up ahead, you got Butters and Whiffy going at it. Butters managing to get ahead of the Aston Martin and up into 5th. Whiffy down into 6th. He managed to get that move done just before the castle section, by the way. So, bit brave, but the McLaren has done it, and he's moved himself up into 5th. The Mercedes, though, still leading the top spot, and they seem to be pulling away already from Underdog behind. And that's exactly what Mercedes would have wanted. But unfortunately for Underdog, he gets that drive-through penalty. He's going to have to serve that within the first 3 laps of him getting it, or else that is going to absolutely ruin his chances. Gary, leading this race, already pulling an 8/10 gap from his teammate. Those are the only 2 of the top 4 that have swapped. Butters moving up 4 positions, so he's had a pretty good start as Underdog is going into the pit. So he's serving his drive-through right now. Gary leads the first lap. Now everyone's going to move positions as Gary spun. Gary's rounded turn 1, lost the rear, and now has fallen all the way down to P7. That's not what the Mercedes wanted at all. Just losing it on his own, potentially getting that car unsettled, and that's absolutely ruined it for him. Dakota gets a 5-second time penalty, but now Echo now leads this race from Stig, from Butters, from Iceman. That's your top 5. Speaking of Iceman, he's actually overtaken Whiffy. As Whiffy, I think, has made a mistake. Indeed, he has. I think he might have gone off the escape road. Not entirely sure. Just looking over, it doesn't look like there's any damage there for the Aston Martin. So a lucky escape, but he has fallen all the way down to P9 now, and not what he would have wanted. That's going to move Days Freak up into P8, Shredder up into P7, Gary back up into P6. Everyone already quite evenly spread out in this race. So you've already had quite a bit of drama at the start of this race as Gary, the championship leader, has spun out of the lead and is now down to 6th. Butters, by the way, a brilliant start at the start of this race. He's up into P3 now as we have a yellow flag. Who's that for? That is for the coach. Looks like he's gone off at turn 3. No damage, luckily for him, but his race has gone from bad to worse. Whereas his teammate, Stig, is slowly closing in on Echo for the lead of this race. He sets the purple sector 2 for good measure. As we have a yellow flag once again, and that's Redeemer. And Echo's out of the race! Oh no, it's all unraveled for Mercedes. Echo out of this race. Gary falling out of the lead. And that is a full course safety car. Redeemer's missing his front wing, and it just looks like he's looped it. It's an absolute nightmare, an absolute catastrophe for Mercedes, spinning out of the lead and now crashing out of the lead. Wow. Okay. As Butters goes into the pits, he has a change of front wing. Same with Shredder. Shredder's gone into the pits as well. And he has to change his front wing as well. So already a couple front wing changes. Same with Redeemer. One Underdog. Is he changing his front wing? No, that doesn't look like there's any damage. But he is changing his front wing. So maybe there's a little bit. What about a Loud Balloon? He might have some damage. Indeed, he does. So 5 drivers coming into the pits to change their front wing. We've already had plenty of drama at the start as the Unknown has left the session. I'll try and get him back in as soon as possible. Forgive me for doing this. Oh, that doesn't exactly work. So safety car is now out, and now that is going to leave Stig to lead this race from the Iceman from Gary. And in Days Freak in 4th, all the way up from P15, he's up to 4th, so he's had a brilliant start. Has the Williams, Whiffy, rounding out the top 5. We've already had one retiree from this race. Unfortunately, it was the pole sitter of Echo. Just having a moment at the fast chicane, and his race is just absolutely done and dusted. An absolute catastrophe for Mercedes after lining up 1st and 2nd. But Gary, he's still there in P3, so he can still potentially grab something out of this. The first safety car out of potentially all of them. We could have all the safety cars in the world. I'm going to try and get the Unknown back into the session real quickly. I'll have to type as fast as I can. So if you hear a little bit of tapping, that might be from me. This is why you need co-coms, people. This is why you need co-commentators. There we go. The car wouldn't turn right. That's interesting. Obviously, he did start on the hards, but potentially just not enough downforce? Maybe? Not entirely sure. Yeah, it's just super unfortunate what happened to you there, Echo, and, well, that's not what you would have wanted after grabbing a podium. That's... yeah. Just absolutely unfortunate, really. Quick Tongue and the Unknown back into the pits now. So, they're potentially changing a front wing. Obviously, well, the Unknown, he is not in the session. I did send him an invite. Quick Tongue, though, he has come out of the pits now, and he's managed to stay ahead of the Williams. So he's managed to stay in P13, and the Unknown P14 to coach quite a ways behind the safety car here. He's currently in P15. But I guess you could say that everyone right now is in a Mercedes sandwich, theoretically. I mean, Mercedes, sorry, Red Bull. I meant to say Red Bull sandwich. As Stig, obviously he leads this race, and to coach, he is all the way in P15, so everyone is in a Mercedes sandwich, in which you have a Ferrari, Mercedes, Williams, Aston Martin, Alpine, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, and Haas filling. What an interesting sandwich that could be. Then again, I'm not sure why you would eat a bunch of cars. I mean, someone would probably eat carbon fiber, because they're just weird like that, but I highly doubt it. Don't try this. Please, do not try this. It's absolutely dumb. Let's go over to the tires real quick. So, Stig, Iceman, Days Freak, Whiffy, and Killerack stayed out on the medium compound of tire. Gary stayed out on the hards. You've got Butters, Gert, and Shredder on the softs, so they're going to try and go aggressive, but they're going to have to be aware that the softs definitely tend to wear out very, very quickly. They're about to find out real quick. Gert already 2 laps on those softs. So, there you have it. Redeemer, Underdog, and La Balloon on the hards, and that's Butters out of the race! What's happened? Butters out of the race! He's crashed. Spun around at turn 15? Or 16, sorry? Going over, yeah, he's just looped it. Heartbreak for the McLaren. crashing under safety car, and now his race is done, and that's 2 retirements from the session. Drama. Absolute drama as Underdog is now into the pits. Things have already unfolded, and we've not even finished 5 laps. Underdog having to change his front wing again. Interesting. The car doesn't look like it has any damage, but clearly he's getting damage somewhere. So he'll line up P14 now. And, yeah. So I would assume that the safety car now is going to... It's probably going to come in at the end of this lap, so we will restart this race on lap 6 with Stig leading the way. Obviously, he has been at the front, I believe, a couple times in this season already, so he probably knows what to do. If he doesn't, then there's something wrong with him. Stig, if you're listening to this, don't mess it up. Do not mess this up. As well, Iceman is probably going to want to just stick where he is. Obviously, he's going to want to stay ahead of Gary. And Gary, well, he's going to have a little bit of work to do after lining up on the front row. Theoretically, though, he's only lost 1 position. He's only lost 1, technically. So, in reality, it's not all bad. But he could have been leading the safety car, is probably what he is thinking. He's thinking, I could be still leading this. And unfortunately, that just has not come to terms as the safety car is going to be in on this lap. There is race control confirming that. So Stig is going to be the one to decide when the race is going to restart as the lights are off, as you can see on the safety car. And now everyone just trying to get temperature in their tires. We'll see when Stig pulls, pretty much pulls the switch and just runs away. Everyone just kind of sticking nice and close. Gary, though, hanging a little bit back. He knows that he doesn't need to be right on the back of these guys, as that could potentially ruin him. And it looks like Stig, he's still backing up the pack here. When is he gonna go? When is he gonna go? He's gonna leave this last second, isn't he? Looks like he is the Red Bull. So minimizing the straight as much as he can. And now the race has gone. Gary with a beautiful jump off of the line. And he's already up into 2nd place. Iceman down to 3rd. And that is a Williams. That is a Williams, I believe, a Days Freak that has gone round. My thing is broken. Oh, and I just missed it. I just turned back away from it. Gary already takes the lead. Stig making a mistake at turn 2. And now Gary back into the lead of this race. Iceman now up into 2nd place. Stig down to 3rd. That is not the restart that the Red Bull would have wanted. That is exactly what Gary would have wanted. He's jumped back up into the lead of this race. Now Shredder making a move on Stig. As Stig goes straight on. He goes straight on into turn 4. And that was not the restart that the Red Bull would have wanted from 1st down to 11th. Going back over, though, Shredder obviously getting a great restart on that on that safety car. He is now up into P3. He's now trying to pressurize he's now trying to pressurize Iceman for 2nd place in this race. Obviously being on those soft compounded tires, he needs to be aggressive at this stage of the race if he wants to grab anything out of this race. And right now that's the top 3 separated by 6/10 between all of them respectively, though Gary gaining a little bit on the guys behind him. Shredder just trying to stick onto the back of Iceman. But Gary, just absolutely perfect. Absolutely what he needed. He's into the lead, and he's going to try and pull away. Oh, that's Shredder! That's Shredder out of the race! He's crashed! And that, once again, at the fast chicane! And that's Whiffy! That is another retirement. What is going on here in Baku? We've already got 4 retirements, and we've just completed lap 6. Gary is staying in the lead of this race once again. Wow, okay, what is going on in this race? We're not even crossed halfway, and we've already had a bunch of chaos. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted. Gonna be 5 finishers at this point. At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised about that, Roscoe. I would not be surprised about that at all, as the Raven Killerack and Quick Tongue have dived into the pits. They're both on a set of hard compounded tires, and that theoretically could go to the end of this race. Your back tire just grazed the wall. That wall, obviously, they obviously added a tire barrier at that wall, so that definitely didn't exactly help it. But yeah, that corner has really been an issue in league racing in general. It's yeah. It's a tricky corner. It is a very tricky corner, which is weird because it is supposed to be flat out. Does Gary pit for mediums? Well, considering how this race has went, why would he pit? That's my logic here. If he does pit, he's putting himself amongst the pack. And considering what we've seen, it's not entirely the best strategy to do. So if Gary knows there's going to be a safety car, like, he probably knows there's probably going to be a good chance of another safety car in this race. He's probably going to try and stick it out. And I wouldn't be surprised by that. Iceman, though, he's sticking very closely onto the back. Boy. English. Cease to fail me. Iceman is sticking very closely onto the back of Gary here, though he is going to dive into the pits, does the Ferrari. So Iceman dives into the pits, and that potentially is going to be a pit stop. That will take him to the end of this race. Let's see, what does the Ferrari go on? He goes on to a set of the hard compounded tires. That could definitely go to the end of this race. And Crispy's saying up the Gary, and now saying up the Redeemer. Okay, so I guess you're cheering on for Redeemer. Redeemer's up to second, by the way. Just want to quickly mention that. Redeemer up to second, so there we go. And Chandler, you're saying if the play small as is normal, then we have 50 people in Tier 1. 50 people in Tier 1. My gosh, I'm losing my seat. Yeah, obviously, mid-season signups do kind of do that. But, yeah, that's fun. Yes, it is me. It's me, Miniko. I'm surprised you didn't recognize my voice from the start, to be honest. But, yeah, it is me. So it's going to take a while for the safety car to come in. Obviously, we have a few pit stops already in this race. Iceman and Gert pitting onto a fresh set of hard compounded tires. Stig onto a set of softs. So he's going to try and go aggressive after making that mistake. That he nearly hits the wall there. I think he might have hit the wall there. He had a bit of a snap. Unless he just lit the throttle. I'm not entirely sure. But Days Freak, he stayed out. He's on a set of mediums. He stayed out this entire race, by the way, on those mediums. So we'll have to see if he potentially pits. We'll just have to find out. Arabian Killerack and Quick Tongue pitting onto a set of hards the previous lap. So they've already done one lap on those hards. But considering the safety car, there isn't much tire wear. Okay, so I think it might be in by next lap by the looks of it for the safety car. We'll just have to find out. So we've already had quite a few changes in this race looking over. So Gary, obviously, he's only moved up 1 position after starting off at the front row. Redeemer up 8 positions. So very good from the Alfa Romeo here as we have someone diving into the pits there. That is the Unknown. He's on the medium compounded tire. Is that going to be onto a set of the hard compounded tire? No, it's a set of softs here. So a set of softs there for the Williams of the Unknown. What about Days Freak, though? What does he go on to? He goes on to a set of... I'll look over. Hards. So hards for the Williams, softs for the Unknown. So very interesting there. Gary obviously being one of the only, well, actually the only driver in this race to have yet to make a pit stop. So Gary, obviously, if there isn't a safety car to the end of this race, that is definitely going to hurt him, as he is going to pit at the end of this race. He has to, no matter what, because this isn't raining. You have to meet the tire allocation. So he's going to want to hope for a late safety car, probably. Or probably a safety car in the mid-pack of this race. We'll just have to find out when the race resumes on lap 10. We still have 16 laps of racing. And it feels like this race has gone on forever. So, lovely. Gonna see some fireworks into turn 1. Yeah. I will not be surprised if we see some fireworks into turn 1. As well, we've already had a couple of moments at turn 1, obviously with Gary spinning, but we've also had quite a few other spinners at turn 1, and potentially people losing their front wing. And, yeah. We'll just have to see if that will be the case. Safety car in this lap now. So, Gary, once again, will lead the field. He's already done a safety car restart quite a few times before this season, so he knows exactly what to do, and look how slowly the cars are going. You can see every single one of them. And while Gary, obviously, he's just trying to keep his tires at the temperature and make sure everyone else's tires are cold so he can get the jump, I think is what the strategy is, but this is very, very slow and very tactical here from the Mercedes, and it looks like he's gone. Has he gone? He has! So an early jump there from Gary, and that has actually caught out Redeemer a little bit, as he's already pulled an 8/10 gap by the time they cross the start-finish straight. And it might even be a second gap here, you know, as Redeemer is actually going to be under pressure here from Loud Balloon. Loud Balloon trying to go around the outside into turn 1. Can he make the move stick? Nope. Redeemer just squeezes him out, and that might allow one underdog to potentially make a move into turn 1. We've got a yellow flag once again, and that's a Stig, and that's Loud Balloon going off into turn 1. I mean, turn 2, sorry. Turn 2, and that is Loud Balloon off at the, just locking the front and going straight on. And he has been demoted all the way down into P12. That's going to allow Underdog to now move up into P3. Iceman up to 4th, to Coach up to 5th, Gert up to 6th, and a Raven Killer at Quick Tongue, the Unknown, and Days Freak rounding out the top 10 in this race. So that is not what the Haas would have wanted. We'll just have to see what happens here now. Gary already leaving quite a bit of a gap between him and Redeemer, 1.5 seconds between the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo, respectively. Gary trying to, no, sorry, not Gary. Underdog trying to close in on Redeemer here. He's losing a bit of time. Obviously, he has on those medium compounded tires, though they are a bit worn here in this race. As meanwhile, further back, and that's the Coach that's going down. What's happened to him? It looks like he's spun off. He's spun off, and he's lost his front wing. And now, he's going to have to pit in this race once again. Well, I say once again, he's only pitted once. But that is not what the Red Bull would have wanted in this race. Going back over, we have a bit of a close battle here for P7. The Unknown is on the back of Quick Tongue here. Obviously, Unknown being on 3-lap-old softs. So he's still got a bit of time in them, but not much. As actually Quick Tongue's now looking for the move on Arabian Killerack and gets the move done very, very easily. Does the AlphaTauri, and actually the Unknown gets past as well. So Arabian Killerack slowing down a little bit. Maybe he's trying not to cost too much time. Maybe he has front wing damage. It's unsure what the situation is. But he just got completely swallowed up on the straight. And that is Stig! That's Stig that's gone off at turn 1. Has he hit the wall? Doesn't look like it. So he's managed to keep that going, but a bit of a scare there for the Red Bull. Loud Balloon into Coach into the pits. Loud Balloon getting a 5-second time penalty for good measure. So they're going to pit onto a new set of compounded tires. Loud Balloon on 2 lap-old mediums, actually, to Coach on a fresh set of hards. So that, and there we go. We've got 1 lap done of the safety car. Gary pulling a massive gap already between himself and Redeemer. 2 seconds between those two. Underdog trying to close in on Redeemer here, and he's closing in quite nicely in Sector 2. And, well, you can see on the board of the AlphaTauri here, he is pretty much pushing that Alfa Romeo through these sets of corners, and he is just all over the back of him. He's gonna have to be careful because he can't really overtake around here, as many people tried to find out. Ooh, grazes the wall, I think. Does Underdog. He doesn't hit it, so that is good for him. But he's gonna be under pressure here from Iceman as well, so we have a bit of a 3-car train here between Redeemer, Underdog, and Iceman. We'll see who could potentially come out on top. Obviously, DRS has not been enabled in this race at all, actually, I believe. So with that, he's going to have to try and overtake the hard way, which is simply on the straight. Redeemer trying to break the toe, though, and it hasn't been successful, though. Doesn't look to be the case, as Underdog is really giving it everything on this straight. Into turn one. Does he break deep? No, no, actually, Redeemer breaks that a little bit later and nearly hits the wall, I think. I think he did hit the wall to Redeemer. Doesn't look to be front wing damage. Now Underdog on the inside into turn two. Redeemer trying to stick it around the outside, and he's managing to do so. And now, who has DRS down this main straight? It looks like it's going to be Redeemer, though Underdog has really good straight line speed right now. Redeemer, though, he's going to try and challenge back into turn three. Underdog leaves him the space and leaves him the respect. Redeemer not able to make anything of it. Here comes Iceman out of mostly nowhere, nearly 3 wide between them. Iceman backs out. Redeemer going for the switchback on Underdog. This is a great battle between these drivers. Redeemer trying to go on the inside, isn't able to make the move, backs out of it. Underdog up into second place now. Redeemer down to third. Iceman stays behind him fourth. That was very, very close between these drivers, but they all managed to get through unscathed. And now Iceman all over the back of Redeemer here in Sector 2 here. You can see him once again pushing through the castle section. And oh, nearly loses the rear there. Does the Ferrari. Has managed to keep it all together, though. Now he's going to be under pressure from the other Alfa Romeo. I'm not sure where Gert's come from, but now he's on this fight. And now, once again, it's going to be an Alfa Romeo sandwich right now between Redeemer, Iceman, and Gert, as Gert is just trying to stick onto the back of the Ferrari here onto this DRS straight. The thing is, everyone in front of him, except for Underdog, Underdog's not going to have DRS, but everyone behind him does. That being, of course, Iceman and Gert and Redeemer, respectively. Is this going to allow for any potential overtakes, though? They look a little bit spread apart here. Gary now sets the fastest lap of this race with a 145.2. He's absolutely flying in this race. Iceman closing in on Redeemer here. Is it going to be enough, though, into turn one? No, it's not. He's way too far behind, and that is not what he wanted. Unknown into the pits now, and that could potentially get off those soft compounded tires, and well, that definitely looks to be the case, as oh no, actually no, he's missing a bit of his front wing here, as we have a yellow flag. Who's that? That's the coach, and he has lost his front wing once again. Not the day that Red Bull would have wanted. Down in 7th and 12th, and the coach is a long ways off the pack. Speaking of the pack, though, as La Balloon sets fastest lap of the race now with a 145.1. Gert is managing to stick on very nicely onto the back of Iceman here through Sector 2 and Sector 1, respectively. Might lose a little bit of time here. That looks like it's not going to be enough, as La Balloon is off at turn 2 once again. Just breaking a little bit too late. Ooh, that might have been a bit of a corner cut there from Iceman, trying to gain as much time as he can. Pushing the limits a little bit too much, and that's actually cost him quite a bit. Is used outside of the DRS of Redeemer. He's managed to close in, though. As actually, okay, the deltas are kind of fluctuating a little bit. Redeemer outside of DRS of Underdog, and Iceman well within the DRS of Redeemer. Same with Gert being within Iceman's 1 second. Obviously, that's when the DRS is available, when you're within 1 second of the car in front of you. And so far, these are the only 2 drivers that have DRS in this race, surprisingly. Iceman, he is gaining down the straight. You can see the sparks flying off the Alfa Romeo, but it's not going to be enough by the time they reach turn 1. Not close enough. Though I think Redeemer made a mistake there, and that's going to allow Iceman to move himself up into P3, and the coach is retired from the session. Not sure what's happened there. It looks like he's just gone off. Indeed, he has. Doesn't look to be a safety car here. The Redeemer and Gert now going at it. I think Redeemer might have just let Gert by, and indeed he has. So now Gert up into 4th. Redeemer down to 5th. So the Alfa Romeo swapping, and that might have been crucial, as Gert sticking very nicely onto the back of Iceman here. We'll see if he can potentially try and grab that podium place. Oh, he goes a little bit deep, though. Goes a little bit deep. He's lost a bit of time there off of the chicane, and that is going to potentially hurt. And that's going to potentially hurt him, as he nearly goes into the wall. I think he might have hit the wall there, actually. Then now that's cost him a huge load of time. Maybe the swap wasn't worth it. I don't know. Redeemer really struggling here for grip and for turn-in now. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Alfa Romeo, or both Alfa Romeos for that matter, as Redeemer is now under pressure from Quick Tongue behind. Quick Tongue has been pretty quiet in this race, needless to say, but he's here in P6 on the back of the Alfa Romeo. It's an Alpha versus Alpha. I don't think we've ever heard that in real life, but we're definitely going to hear it here. Wow. That's a tongue twister, isn't it? As we have a yellow flag, and that's Stig around! Stig spun round. Doesn't look like he's hit the wall, though. He's going to lose position to Days Freak, and yeah, once again, Red Bull just falling down. That car just does not look nice to drive between all of them. The one car that's looking pretty nice in this race now, kind of sitting pretty in a way, is Iceman. Iceman looking pretty quick at this stage of the race. He's caught up to one Underdog, in which one Underdog has not been able to really catch up to, not really able to catch up to Gary, and Gary's just trying to build that gap as much as possible. Stig is into the pit, so maybe he did have a bit of front wing damage. He's now into a set of hards, and that's going to take him to the end of that race. Gary needs a virtual safety car or safety car if he wants a podium. Yeah, pretty much. Because obviously, if he were to pit, let's look over at the leader Delta. If he were to pit, he'll fall all the way down to P6. And if he wants to grab a podium, it's not too much of a climb. But it's still quite decent. Obviously, he'd have to catch up at least 6-7 seconds to Quick Tongue. And let's not forget also, the cold tire is also definitely going to play a part, as he's going to try and get those warmed up. He'll be on a set of mediums, most likely, unless he stretches to a set of softs. That could be very, very risky, though, so I don't think he's going to do that here tonight. But we'll just see what the Mercedes does. This might be around the time where everyone will pit. Actually, Underdog might pit as well, theoretically, because he cannot go to the end of this race on those mediums. I don't think they'll be able to hold up. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I've seen crazier. I've definitely seen crazier. Different game, though, but nonetheless. As Iceman has DRS on Underdog here down the main straight, as Redeemer has DRS on Gert as well. As Iceman, is he able to close up? No, he isn't. Gert actually dives into the pits. Gert dives into the pits on lap 15, starting lap 16 in this race. And that could potentially be a set of medium compounded tires ready for the Alfa Romeo. Nope, it's a set of sauce, actually. That could potentially be a bit of a fastest lap attempt, and then just try and take the car home. Carey's gambling. He'll manage those tires as late as he can. And, yeah. Trying to go for the lottery. Take a bit of a gamble. We'll see if it pays off. Right now, everyone's just kind of evenly spread apart, though definitely someone can make a mistake in this race. So, we'll just have to see come these next 11 laps here in Baku, as Iceman and Underdog still the closest battle in this race. Iceman really getting close to the wall here, as he's trying to find everything he can to close up on Underdog here. Obviously, going through this race, though, we've had 5 retirements in this race, that being the Coach, Shredder, Whiffy, Butters, and Echo. Iceman potentially looking for a move on Underdog there, but he's not able to make the most of it, because that would have been very risky. It would have been a very risky move nonetheless, but he backs out of it, stays behind for now. He's just going to wait for the DRS here, and this might be an easy move here for the Ferrari. It's just a matter of how close is he onto the back. By the time they get the DRS straight, he's pretty much pushing him. He's pretty much pushing him. Iceman pulls to the right-hand side, opens the DRS flap, and is going to breeze past that AlphaTauri. Before they even make it to turn 1, Iceman has moved himself up into second place, provisionally first place in this race. Underdog clearly struggling here, and that is an Alfa Romeo. That's Redeemer. Redeemer spun round at turn 1. He's kept his front wing, but a mistake once again, potentially getting on that curb. Not what the Alfa Romeo would have wanted, though. You can potentially try and claw back up, but that's going to allow Quick Tongue to move himself up into 4th place in this race. Potentially P3, or even P2, really, We'll just have to see if Stig sets the fastest lap now with a 144.0. So the Red Bull trying to get every point he can. Obviously, he will get that point for fastest lap as he is within the top 10. So he's going to want to try and retain that. But we'll see if there's potentially a late safety car. Maybe. Who knows? Ooh, Quick Tongue getting close to the wall there at the castle section. That castle section, obviously very tricky in real life as it is in the game, so nearly hitting the wall there is the AlphaTauri, though he didn't. At least I don't think he did. I didn't hear any smashing of carbon fiber, so he might have just been able to escape that. Battle for P9 starting to heat up, by the way, as the Unknown and Arabian Killer are close on track here. Unknown has a bit of front wing damage, actually. So I'm not sure where he's managed to get that from, but Unknown carrying a bit of front wing damage, and that's going to allow Arabian Killer to close up. And that is La Balloon out of the race! And that is going to be another safety car. The gamble has paid off for Gary, staying out on a set of hards, and this is exactly what he wanted. Underdog already immediately diving into the pits. He knows that those two, mediums are done. What does he go on to? Hards and a front wing change. Oh, and this has not gone well for AlphaTauri, as Quick Tongue also into the pits. And there you have it. Quick Tongue, though, he's going to go on to a set of mediums and to change the front wing as well. Both AlphaTauris changing the front wing. Stig is out of the race. Stig is out of the race as well. What is happening? That fast chicane, that's where he crashed. That's where he crashed. The fast chicane there. And that is him out of the race. Oh! One Underdog gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. He got a drive-through at the start of the race. And now he's got a drive-through close to the end of this race. And that must be absolutely disheartening, I think is the word. Yeah. Not what the AlphaTauri wanted. Stig has left the session. It's unfortunate what happened to him. He's just crashed under safety car, Roman Grosjean style. Just kidding. But, yeah, wow. Okay, so we've had a total of, if my math is correct, 7 retirements in this race. On lap 18. And we're not even done yet. We're not even done. We still have around 8 laps or so left. Is Gary going to dive into the pits on this lap? Unsurprisingly, he's been on those tires. He's done the gamble. The gamble has worked for him. What's it going to be, though? Softs. Softs to the end for Gary. What about of Iceman? Iceman has a free pit stop. What does he go on to? That's a set of softs. This might be a bit of a touch-and-go situation, because the softs obviously deteriorate very quickly. The mediums, though, obviously are slower. So let's not forget that. So I think, if you want to play it safe, you go into a set of mediums, but if you want to if you want absolute pace, you want to go for softs. I'm not entirely sure. Let's have to see as, well, Days Freak is going to go on to a set of softs and a change of front wing for good measure. Underdog onto a set of softs. Quick Tongue into the pits. What does the AlphaTauri go on? He got a little bit screwed over by his teammate a little while ago. It looks like that's going to be a set of soft compounded tire once again. So it seems like a lot of drivers are going to go for the softs here. And I think that might be the case to the end of this race. Gary catches up behind the safety car. Gary, the gambler. 200 IQ, as Yordsters put it in the chat. Gary with the 200 IQ, and he has managed to keep the lead and is now leading this race once more. Wow. Wow. It's just crazy what's happening in this race. Getting a little distracted here, my bad. Oh boy. So, 7 retirements in this race. Let's look over at position changes. So, Days Freak up 10 as Unknown gets a 3-second time penalty under safety car. Not sure how you manage that, but anyways. Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt him at the end of this race. Underdog, obviously, he's going to be hurt at the at this race because he has a drive-through, of course. So Gary's gone up one position still. Obviously, starting on the front row, as I mentioned quite a few times before. And that's definitely helped him. Iceman up 5 positions, so he's had a pretty good race. So we'll see if he can potentially grab a podium, maybe even the win. We'll have to see what the Ferrari can do. Redeemer up 7 positions. So Redeemer having a pretty solid race. Obviously, despite that spin, he's still up in the podium places. Underdog down 1, and it might be down more because obviously that drive-through is definitely going to hurt him. Days Freak is up 10. Days Freak has had a pretty good race nonetheless. He's managed to stay within this race, and now he has pretty much an easy chance of points. Granted, as long as he doesn't whack it, because he doesn't hit the wall and retire. Because if he does that, he has to meet the 90% if he wants to DNF and grab some points. Obviously, he wants to grab all the points he wants. But yeah, he has to finish at least 90% of this race. We're pretty much getting close to that, so he definitely can. But anyways, moving on. Arabian Killarak, he's gone up 6 positions. The Unknown up 9 positions. So Williams, from 15th and 16th on the grid, have moved up to 5th and 7th, respectively. So this might be a good day. This might be a good day for the Williams, but we still have a few laps of racing left to go. Quick Tongue has gone up 3 positions. He's been pretty quiet, needless to say. And Gert up 5. Everyone who's went down, aside from Underdog, all retired from this race. Echo, unfortunately, being the first man to retire just on the 2nd lap of this race. Echo, from pole, unfortunately crashing out at that fast chicane. That's really proven to be the trickiest section of the track, which is kind of surprising. I expected it more to be the castle section. But, surprisingly enough, no. It's completely wrong. I believe the safety car should be in on this lap. Gert kind of a ways behind. Is the only driver too and not caught up behind the safety car. They might be able to catch up. Let's go over with the Alfa Romeo. They might call it a little bit later than usual because obviously Gary's coming up to the fast chicane here, and Gert is just rounding the final actual corner, which you actually need braking for. We'll see. Will the safety car be called in? Obviously, Gert not trying to waste time. He's just trying to catch up. And nope, looks like the safety car is going to stay out for 1 more lap. So we're going to have 5 laps of racing, if I'm not mistaken. And Days Freak has now gone into the pits. I'm not sure what's happening there. It seemed like he was just stopped. Did he lose his front wing by any chance? No, he hasn't. So I'm not sure what's happened, but he's going on to a fresh set of softs. That might actually pay off for the Williams. That might actually pay off. Because the tire wear is really going to play a difference into how this race goes. Who's gonna have the least tire wear come the end of this race could be a deciding factor. We'll just have to see. But Days Freak, he's now on the freshest set of soft compounded tires. That could potentially pay off. Because everyone has at least done 1 lap. So that might be a bit of a bold yet smart call. Maybe. We'll just have to see. So obviously, Redeemer, Arabian Killarak, and Unknown have done 3 laps on those softs. Gary, Iceman, Underdog, Quick Tongue has done 2. Gert has only done 1 lap. Days Freak just pitted onto a set of softs. So that's really the tire situation. Everyone's just going to try and push it to the absolute maximum. No, unsurprisingly. We'll see who can capitalize on this safety car. I don't think the only person that really wouldn't capitalize is going to be Underdog, obviously, with that drive-through penalty. It's definitely going to hurt him in this race. Is the safety car going to be in? And indeed it is. So we're going to have a total of 5 laps of green flag. Hopefully there's no late safety car. I hope not. Fingers crossed. But Gary is now going to lead the pack as we're getting a nice shot of the city. But there you can see the Mercedes, a little bit of a dot there, weaving, trying to get temperature in his tires, or at least keeping the temperature. You can see Iceman all over the back of Gary here. He's going to want to try and get the jump, make sure he doesn't get caught out by Gary, and just try and potentially go for the win. And Gary's gone, and oh boy, it's worked out. Gary has got the jump. That's exactly what he would have wanted. He's already pulled a 9/10 gap by the end of the straight. Iceman, though, he's going to try and claw back down this straight. But Gary, now cross line, race is resumed. Underdog goes into the pits to serve his drive-through. And that's going to ruin his race. But the race is now resumed. Gary leads from Iceman, from Redeemer, from the Unknown, from Arabian Killer Act. So far, nobody really making a move in this race. Gert, though, potentially looking for a move. Sorry, my apologies. As Redeemer's closing in onto the back of Iceman here. Into turn 3. Is he able to make a move? No, he's not. Stays behind. Meanwhile, Quick-Tongue actually makes a move on Arabian Killer Act here. And Quick-Tongue has moved himself up into 5th. Arabian Killer Act now under pressure here from Gert. Gert potentially looking for a move, but he has to stay behind. Arabian has that inside line. Now Gert, diamond on the inside. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. He stays behind once again. And, well, he's going to just have to hope and go for a different corner, potentially. We'll have to see. Gary, though, he leads this race, already 2.4 ahead of Iceman. He has pulled a huge gap at the end of the safety car restart, and that's exactly what he would have wanted. That's all he needs to do. He pulls the gap, and now he can potentially cruise to the end of this race if he wants to. Iceman pulling a gap from Redeemer as well, so that definitely helps the Ferrari as Gert is looking for a move once again on Arabian. But once again, just nothing doing, as that would have been really risky if he did that. And, well, he decided to have the better of it. He has a little bit of a moment, though, out of the exit, and that is going to potentially hurt his run. Though he is closing up onto the back of Arabian here, and it honestly looks like Arabian does not really have much straight line speed, as Gert is just flying by, and Days Freak flies by as well. I'm not sure what's going on with the Alpine here, but it seems like he's got no straight line speed whatsoever. He's got good cornering, but it just seems like he's not getting 100% on the straight, which is interesting. There isn't obviously mechanical problems in online. God forbid. It's just not able to do anything on a straight, and you can see he lost pretty much a 10th, and he was in the slipstream. Bit of a confusing moment there. I'm not sure what's up with that. The Unknown trying to close in onto the back of Redeemer here. Gets a bit on the curb, and that's going to cost him time there. Does the Williams. He's going to try and pull a bit of a gap to Quick-Tongue behind. Obviously, if he manages to stay ahead and pull a 3-second gap, it'll be a P4 as Gert manages to gets a 3-second time penalty. And that is not what he wants for his race, as he's now going to fall at least 2 positions. Because Arabian Killer Act not too far behind, Days Freak not too far behind. He'll go all the way down to P6. The Unknown, he wants to close up. He wants to pull away from Quick-Tongue. If he wants to grab, oh, he hits the wall though. He hit the wall. Is that gonna hurt him? Could that potentially hurt him? Doesn't look like any front wing damage there for the Williams. So I think he's managed to get away with it but that's cost him a bit of time here. Baku is strange in this game. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. To a point. DRS has now been enabled as Gary crosses the line, and he doesn't have to worry about DRS, as he's got all the comfort in the world, basically, as he's still pulling away from Iceman here. And Redeemer is also being pulled away from Iceman here, so the top 3 kind of in their own little worlds right now, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they would have wanted. Gert trying to close in on Quick-Tongue here for P5. Obviously, Gert with the 3-second time penalty. He has the DRS. He has a little bit of slipstream, but he is way too far behind to even make a move. And he is going to have to wait one more lap. He gets a bit of oversteer, though, at the exit. He's managed to save the car, though, so good control. I'm not doing that, Chandler. I am not doing that, Chandler. Nope. I'm not doing that. You can ask someone else to do it. Oh! Iceman gets a 3-second time penalty. And that might open the door for Redeemer here. He has to gain 4 tenths now. He actually lost a bit of time there. And we have a yellow flag, actually. So something's happened. I believe that's a Raymond Killerag. Indeed, it is. He's now going slowly. Doesn't look to be any front wing damage, though, for the Alpine. But he's clearly had a bit of a moment. And that's going to put him under pressure from one Underdog. So Underdog can still get P8 at least in this race. So it's not all bad. But definitely not the result he would have wanted. He has a little bit of a look into that corner. But it's just not enough. So, once again, just having to stay behind. He's going to have the DRS, though, on this straight. And, well, that is definitely going to help him as, really, the Alpine just does not have the straight line speed around here. Underdog just trying to make sure he doesn't hit him. And then he pulls it out to the right-hand side. Clears him. Doesn't even need DRS. And one Underdog moves himself up into 8th. Arabian Killerak down to 9th. And he's already out of his 2nd. So, something is definitely wrong with that Alpine. Something is definitely wrong. Unknown, by the way, he's in the DRS of Redeemer once again. The Unknown managed to stay close onto the back of the Alfa Romeo, but that 3-second definitely hurting him. Quick Tongue, by the way, we haven't really mentioned him. He could potentially grab P4. Granted, he just stays exactly where he is. So a good result there for the AlphaTauri. Still going to be a good result here for Williams, and the Unknown right now. He'll grab at least his best result of 5th, and I believe his first points of the season, if I am not mistaken. Look over. Yeah, that'll be his first points of the season. And Dave's Freak, that'll be his best finish of the season, because Dave's Freak already has 4 points to his name respectively. He's going to grab a total of 6 points? Yeah, 6 points. So, a decent day for Williams, needless to say. We'll see if they could potentially grab anything better, as we are on the dying laps of this race. And Gary's actually losing a bit of time here to Iceman behind. I'm not sure what's going on to Gary. Is he potentially just trying to nurse the car? Does he know he has the gap? Doesn't look like there's any damage on that Mercedes. He's potentially just nursing that car now, making sure that it gets to the end of this race as he crosses the line to start the final lap of this race. And, well, he took a gamble. He took a gamble, did Gary. It's paid off. He's here now. He's built a gap, and all he needs to do is to simply cruise. Iceman trying everything he can, and Gary's lost his front wing! Gary's lost his front wing! That is not what the Mercedes wanted at all, and a mistake! A last lap mistake for the Mercedes, and that could be a deciding factor. So now, this race could potentially open up. Can Iceman close up and gain 3 seconds on Gary by the time they reach the checkered flag? It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be very difficult. But Iceman now has an opportunity. Makes a mistake though. No, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, because Gary has lost his front wing. But I don't think he has enough time. I don't think he has enough time. Gary just has a couple more corners to go. He's using every bit of the track he can Gary, to make sure he stays ahead. And oh boy, you can tell he is struggling. Got no grip on the... he's got no grip. Now, he's got no front end grip pretty much. He's definitely got the rear, but he definitely does not have the front. Now, this could be a deciding factor. What does Gary do through the fast chicane? You can tell he's slowing massively, and that's going to allow Iceman to close in onto the back of Gary here. He has the DRS, he has the slipstream. I think Gary might be able to hold off. Indeed he does. So without a front wing, Gary will win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He will win his 3rd race in a row. It's the triple for the Mercedes, and still he's the only man to finish on the podium in every single race. Iceman, a valiant effort. He grabs his first points. Not only is it his first points, it's his first podium of the season. Redeemer will round out the top 3. Once again, another podium for the Alfa Romeo. What an interesting race that was. Wow, okay. I'm just amazed how he won that race with that front wing, but there you go, Gary. Once again, it's 3 in a row for the Mercedes. He's really becoming a dominant force here in Tier 3 as he takes the win here in Baku. Iceman grabs second place. And, well, it's his first points of the season, his first podium. And, well, that's exactly what he would have wanted. Redeemer grabs another podium, his second podium of the season. And, well, this will definitely be a race to remember for some. And, well, Gary, once again, extending his lead in the championship, I believe, to pretty much almost 50 points. Incredible. There you have it, though. Gary will win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and take the fastest lap for good measure. So exactly the day that he would have wanted. And obviously, Iceman will grab second place. Redeemer will grab third. Quick Tongue will grab his best points haul of the season with fourth. The Unknown will finish in fifth. Good day for Williams. Same with Alfa Romeo as Gert managed to finish sixth. Days Freak will finish in seventh. Underdog in eighth. Or even Killack ninth. And Stig rounding out the top 10. Those Stig might not get those points. Loud Balloon. Loud Balloon to coach. Shredder, Whiffy, Butters, and Echo unfortunately retiring for this race. A chaotic, a crazy race. But, once again, it is Gary who takes top spot. I believe we're just waiting on Iceman to join us here for podium interviews, but we can pretty much get underway as we do have third place here. So, we'll quickly get this started and start off with Redeemer. I mentioned at the start of this race that you're going to want to try and grab your second podium. And, commentator's blessing, I guess? I don't know. But nonetheless, though, out of absolutely nowhere, you managed to grab third place in this race after what was a very chaotic Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But, tell us how that went for you.
That's all I have to say, really. Obviously, congratulations to Gary on another dominant win, and then Iceman for P2. I don't even know where to start. That P10 in quali, wasn't really the greatest. Got a great start off the line and then sent it into turn 1, gaining a few positions, broke early for 2, and then got hit in the rear. Got wing damage, I got thrown into Butters, and then Butters collected wing damage from there, and I said I'm just going to stay out, and then hopefully a safety car comes out, and then I spun, and got right wing damage, and then boxed for hards. I said I'm going to the end, and then that other safety car came out. So yeah, no, I'm just happy for points. Wasn't really one of my strongest tracks. Unfortunately, I am missing next week, so that's a big bummer. But no, nonetheless, great points for the team, and I'm happy where I finished.
I mean, you finished on the podium, so I would be kind of sad if you weren't happy to finish third. But yeah, nonetheless, you managed to grab third place in that race, and well, unfortunately, you're missing next week, so I'm not even going to bother to ask the question. But you definitely bounced back after what's been a bit of a quiet last couple of races. After Canada, though, we go on to Britain. I know that's quite a ways away, but do you expect to potentially bounce back and grab your third podium, or do you expect that to be pretty sluggish, considering the fact that you're gonna be away for a bit?
I mean, anything's possible, We'll have to see what happens. Come 3 weeks time, I think, to Silverstone. But anyways, we'll just have to wait and see what happens, and just have to put the practice laps in, and if I feel confident, then we'll go into the race and say, we're just going to let the race come to us, and, we're going to push hard and see what we can do and go from there. But No, I'm looking forward to Silverstone. So hopefully we can put a good result together for Silverstone.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait. We're definitely gonna wait for at least you in at least like 3 weeks' time, and well, hopefully try and close up to Mercedes in the constructors. But nonetheless, though, once again, congratulations to you on your 3rd place. Unfortunately, Iceman is not able to join us here for podium interviews, but I'll just say it in the stream. Congratulations to you, Iceman, for your first points and your first podium of the season. And with that, we're going to move on to the race winner of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and this is probably going to become a bit of a theme at this point. Gary, 3rd race win in a row, your 5th podium in a row. You're the only man to finish on the podium every single race, and also the only man to grab more than 2 podiums, and well, it's looking very, very dominant for you, needless to say. And that race definitely had a bit of a 200 IQ gamble, staying out on those hards and then pitting with that safety car, and then, well, you did pretty much exactly what you needed to do. And with that 3rd race win, and well, just tell us how that was for you.
Yeah, like I say, standard procedure of trying to keep it consistent. I spun, obviously, early on. Luckily, it was early on, and that was my 1 spin of the race, but due to safety cars, managed to get myself back through the field on the hard tyres, and then, like you say, just grind them out, and then hoped and opted for the softs when the final safety car came out, and like you say, just gunned it. And obviously had a bit of a dramatic ending as well, a bit, but yeah, good race.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Your dramatic end, finishing without a front wing.
Yeah, like I say, I was just coming out of turn 2 on the final lap. Just looked down for a second, look up, and there's just clipped the wall. But like you say, it was completely gone, red across the board. So I knew I had to feather it. Luckily enough, Iceman got a 3 seconds, so I didn't have to panic per se. But yeah, just like say, good race all in all. Consistency is key.
Yeah, that is definitely the key, and well, you pretty much have that, and it shows in the results. Next week, well, actually, is it next week? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not when the break week is, but
I think it is. It is next week for Canada.
It is next week. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
But next week we go to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, go look at that.
Yeah.
I'll just say next race. I'll leave it at that. Next race, we go over to the Canadian Grand Prix, and well, considering your run of form, I think it's gonna be the same as usual. Gun for the win. Do you agree?
Oh, Canada.
Hey, watch it.
Hey, man, I actually credit this, because I'm actually Canadian, so it's fine. I'm okay with this.
It's okay.
It's okay, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just definitely have to see what you could do. Obviously, 3 wins in a row. You're definitely going to be a hard challenger at, like, pretty much throughout this entire season. Once again, though, congratulations to you on another win, another podium, and once again, extending your championship lead. With that, that is going to be the end of Tier 3 here tonight. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, though, for Tier 2 and Tier 1. Obviously, Tier 1 first, and then following with Tier 2. And then next week, if I'm correct on that, then we go over to the Canadian Grand Prix, starting with Realistic on Thursday, and then same time next week, Canadian Grand Prix. We've already had a ton of surprises. What's next? We'll just have to find out. But from Minico, that is everything. Good day, good night. See you tomorrow, and see you in a week's time when we're here once again.